There is Don Sanchez Charles. And the reason I call him Don Sanchez because he's acting a lot like the trainer, Abel Sanchez. You guys remember Sanchez when it came to Triple G. He was much more than a trainer. He was an acting manager, promoter, advisor, whatever, right? Don Charles is acting the same way. Now he says, hey, we don't owe Joseph Parker anything. And the crazy thing is, it's true, but it's also unnecessary to say, you know? And the reason why it is because if Daniel has already went on record and spoke for himself that he wants Joseph Parker. First he said Usyk Parker, then Joshua. Now he's saying Parker, then Usyk or Joshua, right? Then why are you now retorting what you think about what Joseph Parker deserves? Because at this point, it's not about what he deserves. And if he deserves anything, he deserves exactly the fight that he signed up for, you know? But when I say that Don Charles is right, I mean like this. Was it a mandatory? No, it was a voluntary. So no, it's nothing that's mandatory, okay? There's nothing mandatory about Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois. But what made it imperative to happen is that Daniel Dubois pulled out, and the way he pulled out was sketchy as fuck. It was. You know, people didn't know what was going on. He was real quiet. If anything, you know, for the fans, for the media, for the content creators such as me and everyone else, it's important to say and be wide open like a book when it comes to those issues, because if you do what Daniel did, you're going to get what Daniel got. Daniel got a lot of ridicule because Daniel decided to act like this shit was a 007 secretive issue going on. You know, they act like he popped positive for AIDS or something. You know what I mean? The way they had it done and said, and you know, it was like Jamie Foxx. You guys remember Jamie Foxx? Nobody really knew what was wrong with Jamie, and they kept it a secret for so long to the point it was like, okay, that's stupid. Why are we talking about, why are we now still secretive about what's going on with somebody in the hospital? Which Jamie Foxx had a serious problem. He had a brain bleed on the brain, right? But Daniel Dubois had an infection that they say that they took antibiotics, which anyone that's in the medical field knows a viral infection, you don't take antibiotics. So, you know, that was one thing that you had to worry about. You know, that's one contradiction there, you know? And I think when Daniel got a hold of it, you know, when he finally realized like, hey, people are talking real big shit at me, let me speak for myself, you know? But before he did speak, Don Charles had already spoken and said what he feels about, you know, Joseph Parker. He called Joseph Parker, he said he laughed about his training, his media workout was foolish. He think he was stupid for fighting Joe Joyce. He said a lot of things bad about Joseph Parker. You know what I mean? And then at that point, it's like, okay, you're talking a lot of shit about Parker, but at the same time, you and your fighter hasn't fought Parker. Now, your fighter says, I want to fight Parker, and you're saying, hey, well, he doesn't owe him anything. See, my thing is, hey, it's a such thing as being too protective. You know, don't be too protective of a person that's willing to fight. That's what I say, you know? And if you're when you're too protective, overprotective, it may mean something. It may mean that, hey, maybe I don't want my fighter to fight Joseph Parker after all, you know? And maybe that's just a cover-up saying we don't owe him anything, trying to justify never fighting him, you know? Because maybe Daniel said something that allured or alarmed Don Charles to say what he just said, you know? But no, he doesn't owe him anything, but he does. He owes it to the people. He owes it to himself, you know? If he wants to fight all these guys, he should be first priority. And again, if that would have been his next move, nobody would have said shit, because there would be nothing to talk about. There would be nothing to complain about at all. There would be nothing to worry about. You know, because Daniel is fighting the person that he signed up to fight without any other issues. But you guys tell me what you think of Don Sanchez Charles stating that Daniel Dubois doesn't owe Joe Joyce anything. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching.